All right, welcome in. It's game day, week 1 of the preseason. Jets versus the Manders going on 12 o'clock today. I'm really excited. I'll do my every throw video for the starter. I believe it's going to be 𝐂𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐴 Taylor, as well as some of the starters as well. Some of the things we're most excited to pay attention to for this game. So if you want to make sure you hit that subscribe button, you'll get those videos as I put them out. But we're going to go over 5 topics today that I think is a reason to be watching this game, because a lot of people don't necessarily want to sit back and watch the preseason game. But I know the diehards that are in here, you guys are looking forward to doing it, so I am looking forward to talking to you all. So I'm going to do my little monologue for a minute. Then we'll jump into some phone calls, get some answers from you guys, things that you guys want to hear based on what I've put out there, my five things. But before we do, I just want to say thank you to BetUS, sponsoring the channel. They've got some good bets over on their site, link in the description down below. I think Nightbot should be spitting it out in the chat as well. But they got Aaron Rodgers plus 160 to get 30 touchdowns this year. I think this is something that you should be going in on. Now, he's had 2 seasons of 30-plus touchdowns since 2017, so it doesn't sound like a whole lot. But remember, Nathaniel Hackett's our offensive coordinator. Not that gives you always the warm and fuzzies, but he had it back-to-back years with Nathaniel Hackett over in Green Bay. So I think with a fully healthy season here, 30 touchdowns is totally attainable. The weapons here are so much stronger than they were post his MVP runs. So I'm looking forward to this one. If you guys want to check out my 5 favorite season-long bets, I actually have them linked in the description down below. But BetUS is going to be sponsoring this pregame stream, Q&A, all that good stuff. So thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Now let's go into my 5 topics. Now, I think the first one that everyone's going to be taking a big look at today is the whole situation surrounding our center, Joe Tippmann, and how is he going to be snapping the ball. I will be putting out a video every snap of Joe Tippmann, so if you guys are interested in that, you don't have time to watch the actual game, come back, you'll see that on the channel. But we're going to take a look, see if he can get that snap under control, primarily in the shotgun. This is an issue that he's been dealing with for over a year now. Now, we're being kind of more notified of it right now because we don't have Connor McGovern on the roster. Last year, McGovern was the starter at center, and we didn't really see Tippmann other than training camp until about halfway through the season when he took over the center role. And he had some struggles, had some snaps that they don't always have to go over your head to be a bad snap. Getting your quarterback to take his eyes off the defense or anything like that, that for even a split second is going to be absolutely critical. And our quarterback is not the spring chicken he used to be. 40 years old, you got to be able to protect your quarterback, and if he's not getting the ball out as fast, you are going to be less effective as an offense, let alone the turnovers that you could potentially cause. That bad snap in the green and white scrimmage, that happened inside the 10-yard line. You cannot have that happen. No extra drives for the other team's offense. Cannot have that. So Joe Tippmann, his starting presence, the snapping, how is he going to look? I am curious to see how the entirety of the offensive line looks as a whole, which I guess I'll get to right now. The next thing I want to talk about, the running backs, the offensive line. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen who the starters are for today's offensive line, but I'd imagine there's going to be a little bit of rest for like Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, and you're going to see more of Fashanu, more of Carter Warren, and that's what I really want to see. Some of these young guns. Like I know what Moses can bring. I know what Tyron Smith can bring. I'm not overly concerned with that. Give me the young guys. I would love to see AVT out there, make sure he gets some good reps in live action. He's had a little bit of the uh-ohs in terms of penalties, false starts in camp. He got booted from the third drive in the green and white scrimmage because of a false start. So I want to see how he has healed post-Achilles injury. And then obviously you got John Simpson as well. Now the running back side of things, I'm very, very much excited for, because it's hard to tell in training camp how good these guys are. And Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis look like they're both going to be really good. But like I said, in training camp, you're not really practicing, like, you're not hitting as hard as you're going to hit. You'll get some of these guys, occasionally, but I feel like it's tough to like really navigate. Did that guy break out of a tackle, or was it just the defense letting up because it's your guy? The play is over. You're not taking him to the ground necessarily. So very much looking forward to how the Commanders have an answer for the Jets running game, especially because I don't think Breece is going to play. I wouldn't play Breece at least. Put him on ice. Although like Breece, Garrett, obviously Rodgers isn't playing, but all the guys are good, don't put him out there. I want to see all the question marks. Running backs, offensive line, going to be a big, big question mark for me in a good way, because I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised. So very much excited for the offensive line. On the defensive side of things, Will McDonald getting a little bit extra work with no Hassan Reddick. I expect to see him early and often, not necessarily as the starter. We've seen Michael Clemens taking a lot of the reps opposite Jermaine Johnson on that defensive line, but it would be very, very cool to see these edge rush opportunities, 3rd down and long, 2nd down and long. Let's get Will McDonald in there and see what he can do. He's starting to get that little bit more of an explosion going through his defender as opposed to trying to get all the way around his defender. Let's see how it plays out in live action. We beat up the Commanders a little bit the other day. A little smack around in the joint practice. I want to see the same thing today. Same thing today. So Will McDonald, how does he respond to being the starter / all eyes on you kind of edge rusher? Wide receiver Malachi Corley. How are they going to deploy him? He was listed as number 3 in the punt return, kick return area. Is that going to be the same thing that holds true throughout the entirety of this game? Is he going to see a lot of starting reps? Are we going to see Gibson in there? I don't know how Gibson's doing as far as a health perspective. He was down lower leg injury for a little bit. But how do they deploy Malachi Corley? Are they going to move him into the backfield like we've seen throughout training camp? Are they going to keep him primarily out as wide receiver? Very excited to see what Corley can do against some live action here because I expect Garrett's probably not going to be playing. And then on the defensive backside, Stiggers, this guy, if he can wind up being the heir apparent to DJ Reed, this would be absolutely incredible. Just a home run steal. He's been so talented and so incredibly fun to watch in training camp. The presence of mind to get in front of the receiver, like he just understands body leverage. I would like to see how this guy performs in live action. Because, man, if you have that, right now, preemptively, like thinking about next year's draft positions that might be of critical importance. We don't have Michael Carter II under contract. We don't have DJ Reed under contract. We don't have Brandon Echols under contract. So I think corner is going to be a major area of concern this offseason. So from a logistical team perspective, Stiggers has depth for this year and having the ability to possibly be a guy like main contributor moving forward. If everything we're seeing in training camp is as advertised in actual live game footage, I'm very, very excited to see what we get out of Stiggers in today's practice. One thing I didn't put on here that I do think is also critical is who is calling plays. I haven't seen that reported yet, but during the green and white scrimmage, Todd Downing was calling plays while Nate Hackett was calling some of the red zone plays. So I want to keep an eye on who is calling the plays at which particular time, because I think that's going to be interesting to see how they've delegated play calling responsibilities. We were looking for offensive help earlier in the offseason. Said we might be looking to bring in some type of play calling assistant or offensive senior assistant or something along those lines. Downing calling some plays, taking a little bit of the responsibility away from Hackett. Hackett had the responsibilities in Green Bay to call plays in the red zone. Maybe that's where they kind of go. I would like to see that. Boys and girls, if you're going down to MetLife to see the game, make sure you hit a like button. I really want to hear your input on some of this stuff. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat for the call-in show. So you guys can call in. I want to hear from you. Let me get this all fired up. All right, so link is in the live chat. If you'd like to call in, I want to hear from you guys. What is your favorite storyline for today? Let's see if I can pin this to live chat. I could probably pin that. Nope, gotta click out of it first. All right, so that's pinned in the live chat if you guys would like to call in. We will continue talking about today's game through the chat. I see a bunch of you guys in here. Thank you so much. Mitt Flair says, I am at work. Let's see, where is the... There he is. Mitt Flair, I'm at work. The Rye guy says I have to go somewhere at noon. Will there be any way to watch a replay of the game? So I'll have some of the most important plays and like highlights of players that we're kind of identifying. If you have certain players you want to see more than others, let me know in the chat because I will very much put those together. I want to do it based on what the community is looking at. But some of the stuff that I've been looking at is the stuff on the screen right here. Scott was saying, personally on Jets first half money line, but the guy I follow 4-1 in this preseason is on Washington. So preseason is such a tough one to try and gauge. I don't like betting on preseason in terms of money lines. I'd rather go for like futures. So Aaron Rodgers touchdown. If you guys want to see my 5 favorite bets, they're down in the description down below. If you click on the link for BetUS, it'll actually show you the 5 that I've taken a look at for the season-long bets. These are not game-specific, but some interesting ones down there. Obviously, you got to have Jets Super Bowl on there, but you could take a look at that. Eric Craig says, I love the number 5 Morstead jersey. As a former high school punter myself, I'm glad not the only one that purchased that jersey. Let's go Jets. Yeah, you could call it the number 5 punter jersey. That's all right. Wilson action. All right, let's see. We got Mutt Viles calling in. Let's go over to Mutt Viles. Dude, how you doing, brother?
Ryan! Not sure if you can hear me well, though, because I know the service here is kind of crap. How are you?
I got you. I'm doing all right. I'm feeling good. We finally got some Jets football back. It's been a little bit too long, if you ask me.
I'm at work right now, though. You already see what I'm repping already. I gotta do it. My boss already bring my chops because the hat.
Forget that. That's ridiculous.
But nah, I just want to see how the heck this offense plays, though. I obviously know like Rodgers ain't playing, correct me from like Sauce ain't playing, Garrett ain't playing. I just want to see how the depth plays today, though, because if our depth can just put Jane Daniels looking like Bryce Young, we're gonna cause some problems.
Oh, for sure.
Are
Is
you
there
really
a particular
that worried,
unit?
about Tippmann?
Am I concerned about Tippmann?
Really, the O-line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head's at. I want to see, because I don't know if they've said it yet, but I don't expect Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses to play. I want Tippmann to play like a whole first half. If he could play the entire first half and just like get the snaps out of the way, that's live action is the only way you're going to get that pressure, under control. So if I could feel more comfortable about our backup tackles and where Tippmann is as a center, I think that's the biggest takeaway for me for this game.
Right. That's all it is, though, because the centers have to get used to their quarterbacks, their snap count. I can get the word out for a second. It's too early for this. It's too early.
I know. I was like 9:30 stream. I was like, we'll see how this plays out.
I'm like, come on, I know I can get it out. But nah, they just got used to their snap count. That's all it is. Because last year the Tippmann was used to Zach, Boyle, Simeon, and whoever else we had. Now he's got used to Rodgers and Tyrod. He's had now 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the last 2 years. So I don't blame him though for a little bit of a hiccup because we got used to it. But that's just to be ironed out though before week 1, definitely.
Do you think there's any defensive players that you're kind of keying in on? Is Will McDonald the guy you're looking at, or is there? I'm excited to see Stiggers personally. I think the cornerback play is going to be fun to watch.
Stiggers is definitely going to be fun to watch. McDonald, I expect him to play well because you don't take him with your first overall pick just for him to go, kick the tires on him, especially with Hassan Red, what's going on with him. I want to see how the safeties play.
That would be really cool to see. We never got to see Clark.
Right. Chuck Clark's playing. But it's like that's the one room I feel like we are the most worried about because we didn't really do anything. And if they play a little bit trash, then okay, expect Justin Simmons or whoever else is out there to be signed by the end of next week.
Yeah, there's still good safety depth out on the free agent market. Having our safeties, we haven't really invested a crazy ton. It's like bringing back Ashton Davis. We invested in Whitehead for a little bit. Yeah, the franchise tag on Marcus May. So like, I don't know really. It doesn't seem like they put a whole lot of emphasis on that safety room. But I agree, Mutt Files.
I was upset that Whitehead's gone. I was upset that we got rid of Whitehead though. But I was watching the Dolphins game last night. I had no idea Marcus May went to the Dolphins. I'm like, when did he go there?
I did not know that. I'll be honest. Last I heard he was on the Saints and a free agent. I thought he was still a free agent.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, when did he go to Miami? But of course, once again, Dolphins calling us trash, yet they're signing all our guys. So
did you see we're going against Robbie Anderson week 1 now with him signing with the 49ers?
Yes. And honestly, I don't know how he'll do. I honestly don't know. Because you still got Debo, who does everything there, though. Ayuk is still there.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's going to be there by week 1.
I don't know if he's going to do anything.
I would be shocked.
It depends what they do about Ayuk. I think it's what they do with Ayuk because you have Jenkins there, and I can see him being like a 3rd or 4th receiver if anything. Real quick though, I know you're going to bounce me out here soon. Where do you think Ayuk's going to go? Because I saw they offered them, which the Niners won that by a landslide if they would have took it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like the Browns was like the place it was going to be, and they just couldn't figure out the contract with him. So if the Browns can figure out the contract with Aiyuk, I would say that's definitely where he's going. Feels better as a Jet fan not having to see him twice a year in the AFC East. Personally, I would have loved to see a dark horse NFC team come in, not have to deal with him in the AFC at all. Dude's a stud. But I guess the Browns probably one of the better spots he can go. That AFC North is going to be a gauntlet between the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. So as much as those teams can kind of beat themselves up and keep their records like relatively around 500, I feel like that's better for the New York Jets in case there's, I still think the division is the best way for us to get in, but at least having that option to potentially fall back on with a wild card would be nice. So I'm hoping he goes somewhere in the AFC North. Mutt Viles.
I can see us win the division though easily with that. Because Miami, I feel like going to take a step down. But Joe Milton, please get cut by the Patriots. I saw that. I'm not playing. If he gets groomed to the way he is, I'm not playing Josh Allen, Tua, and Lamar Jackson twice a year. Fuck that. I'm not playing that.
I don't want it to happen. Milton's a very fun quarterback to watch. I'm curious to see what happens to him once he hits game action. So, like, just pay attention a little bit about it. They drafted May 3 overall. There's no way they're going back any other direction. It has to be him. So, I don't know. I feel like it's got to be him.
When they took RG3 and Kurt.
Yeah. Well, that's what you see, that reluctance to try and switch quarterback until like the very last moment. But maybe everyone learns from that. And they're like, hey, we're just going to play the best quarterback anyway. I don't care if it's the number 2 overall pick. That's a very Belichickian move. Screw that guy.
Right.
Done with him. Mutt Viles, you've been
I'll see you later, Ryan.
From the cockpit.
You're out of here.
Always good talking to Mutt Viles. See, John in the chat says, hopefully Quantez makes some plays today. That's what I want to see. Give me some stickers. Steven says, does anyone know if the joint practice with the Panthers is going to be open to the public? I live in North Carolina and wanted to go to the practice. If it's open, I have tickets to the game already. I did not realize it was a joint practice. I'll be honest. I would assume Panthers season ticket holders will be able to get it. So you might be able to, you probably can't go in jet gear. You'd probably have to go in like some neutral kind of gear. Just a guess. I saw a Dolphins fan tried to get into Jets training camp and he got kicked out. So I would assume it's probably something similar. Anyone who has, so on Monday, the tickets go on sale for season ticket holders for the Jets-Giants training camp. If anyone gets an extra ticket for that, let me know because I would like to put together an every throw video for that. We got Alan joining the line. Let's head over to Alan. Alan, how you doing, dude?
Hey, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Awesome. So I am, as I'm sure you can imagine, looking forward to the kickoff returns and the running backs, and I know that Malachi Corley is going to get some play on on receiver, and so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I think it's going to be a good time watching the Jets second teamers go against the Washington first teamers.
It gives you like that little, not that like Washington's like a great team or anything, but anytime backups can do well against the other team starters, I feel like there's that little bit of extra comfort, in the case of a reserve coming in at some point during the season.
Yeah, you got that swag,
Hell yeah. Now, are you dialing in on Tippmann snaps and trying to figure out hit the O-line too?
No, I'm really not that worried about it. I think that it's going to be fixed. I think that that's something that Rodgers is going to care a lot about. And they've been saying when they being the coaches, when they're talking about it, they're not worried about it. They say that it's all because they're asking him to do a bunch of different stuff because of his athleticism. So stuff that he's thinking about doing stuff after the snap, in terms of where he's blocking and things like that. And so he's rushing the snap. But they think it'll all be worked out by time the season starts.
I have my fingers crossed on that. My concern is that if they weren't asking him to do that last year, we saw the same problems with it last year. So it's not like this is a new phenomenon. It's like just the recency bias of like, okay, we currently saw it right now.
But
we're just asking him to do a little bit more.
But he was snapping to far worse quarterbacks, and I think they weren't asking him to do as much.
Training camp.
No,
that's
true. Right, but I thought we were talking about more towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we saw it both. I think we saw it in live game action with Zach, with Simeon and those guys. But I think seeing it in training camp last year, seeing it in training camp this year, it does give me some concern. I know Dom C was a little concerned coming out of college with Tittman as not having a lot of shotgun snaps. So like when Dom has a little bit of like murkiness towards it, and then now we're going into the regular like training camp and regular season stuff, I'm concerned.
I mean, I'm still thinking that it's entirely possible we end up with McGovern as a backup anyway. So
Yeah.
there is a backup plan in theory.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. I don't think we're going to see any of the tackles. Have the Jets released who the starting lineup is right now? I know we saw the depth chart earlier this week. I'm assuming we're going to get
For the tackles.
yeah. Like I'm assuming we're
Yeah,
not
I
going to see
mean,
Tyron Smith and Moses today.
oh no, not at all. We're gonna see Max Mitchell and Carter Warren,
Mm.
and then Schweitzer and
You think Fashanu
what's his
starts at
name?
tackle, or are they going to do
Yes. No, you're right. You're right. Fashanu's
so
going
like
to start at left tackle, and Max Mitchell's going to start at right tackle.
mm,
And then they're going to bring in, Fashanu's not going to be out there that long, and then
yeah,
they're going to bring in Carter.
yeah. I'm excited to see what those guys have. Now, as far as the weapons go, Malachi Corley, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, which one of those three brand new guys are you most excited to see?
Well, I'm going to say Corley, but
I know you are.
I'm
That's a loaded question. For those of you guys that don't know, Alan won our Yak King shirt at the draft party, so it's it's known.
I'm excited for all three of them though. I was very happy when all three of them were drafted. I had taken all of them in many mock drafts
Mhm.
and uh, and I mean when we were there at the practices, I mean Braylon Allen looked phenomenal. Like he way outdid what I thought he was going to do. Even if it's just practices.
No, I feel the same exact way. It
And
felt like an RB1 light, like watching him play.
I see him. I mean, if we didn't have a guy named Brees Hall, he would be RB1, and I think he would be RB1 on a lot of teams in the league.
Hmm. Dude, the way he puts his foot in the ground and just like gets uphill in a hurry, and he seems like a bully out of the backfield. Watching him and Corley switch spots from like Braylon Allen next to Rodgers, kick out wide to Corley coming in and now blocking. It's just fascinating all the little chess pieces that we could move around. It feels like we have a bunch of queens on
The
the
thing,
chessboard.
yeah, I mean, the thing that impressed me the most about him when I was watching him was his cuts.
Hmm.
For a guy that big to be able to cut the way that he does is like really amazing, and he has good vision too.
I'm excited. Anything else you want to look forward to before I eject you from the cockpit?
I mean, the biggest thing I'm going to be watching is the kickoff returns. That's the thing I'm most interested in
I saw
because I think it's going to be
something.
the closest to the real season.
So I saw Peter Schrager talking about it yesterday about how the Jets were one of the teams that he's watched and how teams are kind of going vanilla right now in the preseason. And then when you get to that first week one, we're going to see chaos everywhere as far as like trick plays and how to like get through. They said possibly even having someone like Quincy Williams kick the ball. So if Quincy Williams is your kicker on a kickoff, you have an extra tackler on the field. I'm excited to see how this is
That's
deployed.
interesting though.
I
I
know,
had never heard anything like that.
right? I
But
should make a
I'm
video about
excited.
that.
I think it's a good change.
I'm looking forward to it. Alan, thank you so much for the call. You have been
Thank you.
You're
ejected
out of here.
from the cockpit. Always good to have Alan on. Boys and girls, if you want to call in, we do have the call-in line pinned in the live chat, and we'll just talk to the chat in general. Frank saying, Ryan, do you think we should check the tires on Juju just for a tryout? No, honestly, I'd rather have Jarvis Landry, who we brought in for a workout. I haven't heard anything about that aside from like the quick little blip on the radar that he was trying out for us. Eric can't call in. He's at work. That's all right. It's all right. JRB says, when Aaron Rodgers comes out at MetLife, do we give him an entrance like last year? He should. Like people are gonna get rowdy. Now the rush of energy that we had going into last year, I don't know if that can be matched. But man, I just want to see this guy play. SNY usually replays the game, says R&R. Yep, you can catch that. I'll do the condensed version as far as like particular players. So I'll do like every snap from Joe Tittman. I'll do every snap from Will McDonald. I'll do every snap from, the guys we want to pay attention to, whether that's Corley or whoever. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Alan says, I want to see the young guys play well. We got to see what our depth looks like. Completely agree. We want the whole shebang today, not just the tip. I have faith in Joe. Jeffrey, I like it. Hey, shout out to us mail carriers. Jet fans wish I could make the game, but duty calls. Boog and Mud Files. I guess both delivering mail today. Thank you guys so much for your service. Allison, we love having you in here. What's up, Allison? Just asking, why did Aaron Rodgers ain't going to play him mean? They're not going to play him in today's game. They're not going to play him in next week's game. They might play him the final week of the preseason against the Giants for a drive, maybe two. It kind of depends on how he's feeling. He'll get the final say, is what Rodgers was saying, or is what Saleh was saying. I don't care. Percy is up in age. He'll be slowing down. A team younger is faster. Percy. I don't know what you mean by Percy. Peasley? No, Peasley's not up there in age. Personally, he's up there in age? Is that what you're saying? It's all right. We're going to see a lot of Tyrod in the preseason, if I had to guess. And these third-string quarterbacks, which does kind of suck a little bit. I want to see us move the ball. And I don't know if we're going to get a crazy ton of movement if we're looking at third-stringers against other teams' first-stringers. I'd like to see Tyrod a bit more. Dagoda says Malachi Scorley. Damn right. If you see a misspelled word, that's Siri. I misspelled the message. That's all right, Allison. Grandfather retired, United States Postal Office. God rest his soul. Slugo. Watch May go down in Milton's second act of Brady. Don't you put those words in that mouth. Don't do it. Rich says Stigers cornerback 2 in 2025. I'm hoping so. That's what I want to see. Curly, what's up, dude? Curly says, there were Commanders fans the other day at practice. Well, I think you're allowed to have it. Oh, yeah, I guess joint practices is probably not as bad. This Dolphins fan was, because we don't have a joint practice with the Dolphins, he was just decked out in Dolphins gear, and they're probably like, nah, you're not going. Or he was just making up that he was not allowed into Jet Camp. That's possible, too. Oh, we got Andrew on the line. Let's go over to Andrew. Mr. 𝐀𝐿𝐥𝐻𝐢, how you doing? Keep your eyes on the road.
I will do. I'm doing good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. What are you most looking forward to in today's game?
So I think one of the most important things is just to see the snapping with Tippmann. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily concerned, but I do think, if he has bad snaps during games, Rodgers is going to be chasing the ball over the field. Not good for drives, not good for injury potential. So definitely an important thing. But the Stigers story, I think, is my favorite. I would have to say, just because I don't like his whole story and everything, and seeing like those guys come up from seemingly nowhere and then make it big is always exciting. So.
Yeah, it's a good, heartwarming story. Not to mention his position is just so critical for our future as well. Because we don't have DJ Reed, because we don't have Brandon Eccles, because we don't have Michael Carter under contract for next year, what he's able to do, if he can actually be a starter for us next year, or at least be like strong depth, like if he could be a replacement for Eccles as like a worst case scenario, that's still pretty good. I'm very excited to see what Stigers has.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch the game, but I've got to go do a 12-mile run first for my my training, so got to try to get that in before the game. I know I had a little too much of the gummies last night too, so that should be fun. But
having too many gummies that have it a run the next day, you're gonna be a little tired. I had myself a little bit of the seltzer. Seltzer's delicious, but you do well on your 12-mile run. I'll let you get back to driving. Don't want to have you distracted. Andrew, thank you so much for the call. You bit from the cockpit. Andrew 𝐀𝐿𝐥𝐻𝐢, boys and girls. Andrew's going to be at our game, MetLife Stadium, Week 4. Jets Broncos, if you want to head over. TalkingJets.com. We still got a few tickets left. JRB says, are we going to give 𝐂𝐟𝐷 the same entrance we gave him last? Oh, yep. We already answered that one. Sorry about that. Unconscious zone. Didn't we have another center doing that in the distant pass? Why does this issue snapping the ball sound familiar? Because we've just constantly had issues. I mean, obviously, before we got McGovern, we had a stretch there of like 5 years. I think it was it 2015 was the final year of Mangold. So basically from that point until I think it was 2020 when we got McGovern in, or maybe it was 2019, that stretch of years, we just couldn't get the ball to the quarterback. And then even when McGovern went down, we saw Tittman last year struggle. We saw Newman struggle. Schweitzer wound up getting knocked out too. So lots of things to deal with. Scott says, hey, Gangrene. Good to have you in here, dude. Jeremy's very excited for Malachi Corley, McDonald, and Stiggers. Go Jets. Yes, yes, yes. Slugo says, Brees is sneaky fast, like Butler in Mr. Deeds. That's pretty funny. If you guys haven't watched Mr. Deeds in a long time, got to catch up on that. JD Jet says, my God, that's Hassan Reddick music. I want Hassan Reddick to be able to start playing. We're not going to see him for a little bit, I don't think. I don't think we see him till the regular season. There's rumors that this might go like into the season, is what I heard most recently. I don't want to see that. See, Allison, a bunch of queens. It's true. The chessboard. When you have a queen, you can move any direction you want. That's what I feel like Braylon Allen and Malachi Corley, and Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall. These guys are all chess pieces on this board. And you got Aaron Rodgers, the king, can't really move very far because he's got his whole Achilles thing going on. And like he's 40. So you get a bunch of queens. You replace all your other pieces with queens, and they can move every which direction. And then you're like, the other team can't do anything. Maybe it sounds a little weird, but it's okay. It's a good piece. Slugo says, Hackett's gonna have to earn his pay today. Can't just nod in agreement with Rodgers quarterbacking. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be Hackett calling plays or Downing calling plays. I am going to keep an eye on that. Downing was calling plays during the green and white scrimmage. I think you might see like a 50 or like between the 20s is Todd Downing, and then red zone offense could be Hackett. We've got NFL football until February. I love it, Turrets. That's right. Let's go. It's about damn time. About damn time. Taking way too long. Boys and girls, we're going to be going for about 20 more minutes. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat. We'll be talking a little bit. If you want to call in, call the numbers on the screen. Don't forget to vote in the poll question as well. Tittman snaps and running back and offensive line. Actually, so running back offensive line is the biggest story that people are kind of keeping an eye on. But I don't know if running back O-line also incorporates some of the Tittman stuff too. So that could be skewing it a little bit. 28% say running backs and O-line. 26% say Malachi Corley. 25% say Tittman snaps. And Stiggers coming in at 20. My other storyline I wanted to add in there was Will McDonald, but I didn't have the option to go into a fifth category. But I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to him as well. I think I got a pretty good list right here. Yeti! Ryan, glad I caught the show. Been missing your solo shows. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more solo shows. Now that I'm back in practice, not practice, but now that the season's back, I take my 2 months off, May and June and July usually. So looking forward to getting back on the grind and talking to you guys. A little solo action. JD Jets, talking about McDonald, Corley, Olu, Stiggers, and Braylon Allen. Lots of things to be excited for. Yeah, there's just like, it's a fun, youthful core. Like, we know what our studs have in like Sauce and Garrett and Breece and Rodgers. Like, we don't have to see them. Seeing what the guys behind them can do against number ones, I feel like that's super critical. So if you guys want to see that, let me know the players you want to see, and I'll try to do like an every play video of them. You might wind up catching every play by way of like this. You know, if I'm showing every play of the O-line, you're going to see every play from, you know, the starting unit as well. So it'll be Corley and those guys. But yeah, let me know. Allison says, I mean, even moving slow for the Jets, just like the Packers, win younger and faster. Yeah, you got to get younger and faster. Speed kills. That's what they say. Speed builds pressure, pressure bursts pipes. That's what I meant. But the Jets go way younger and faster is the only way to succeed. I agree with you, Allison. You got to have a lot of speed. That's why the whole Dolphins offense is based on speed. And their offensive line is just like so-so. It's because Tua gets the ball out so damn fast that it neutralizes some of our defensive line aspects. So what I would like to see is us try to mimic that same style of offense, neutralize some of the struggles that might happen from an offensive line that is aging a little bit, that does have some injury concerns, that does have some young players on it. That's what I would like to see. JD Jets makes a good point. Allison, young and fast is good, but there's something to be said for experience as well. Yes, 100%. That's why I like Tyron and Morgan Moses being the starters on the offensive line. One, they're rock solid, veteran starters, but having the ability to then groom Olu Fashanu, Max Mitchell, and Carter Warren behind him. Like, I like 5 of our tackles. 5 of our tackles right now, we're pretty deep for where we can learn. I would say I'm most excited at this point probably for Fashanu and Carter, just because we've seen a few seasons from Max Mitchell right now. But I want to see him show out as well. If we can carry enough offensive linemen where we don't have to like panic, especially if we could see some of these guys kick inside. Like I don't know what our interior of our offensive line is really going to look like. That's been more my reason to try and get McGovern back in here. Little veteran presence, push Tittman, and give us some interior offensive line depth. Maybe we're just panicking too much, and our interior offensive line is not really too bad. Mupfile says, non-Jet question, how do you think Daniels will do? I might do an every throw from Jaden Daniels. I feel like that's kind of an interesting thing for people to see from a fantasy perspective. Now, I'm also a Jets channel, so I don't know how many people will actually watch it because this is called Jets Talk 24/7. But I am interested in Mupfiles. I thought Daniels was my favorite quarterback coming out in this year's draft. Him and Penix are my 2 favorite quarterbacks. And if you guys want to see an every throw from that, I can do it. I mean, it might be a good way to get some Washington fans into the conversation over here. That'd be kind of neat. Joshua says, Braylon Allen's going to be exciting to see. Yeah, dude runs with tree trunks for legs. I feel like he could be a running back 1 on a lot of different teams. So seeing what he has to show for it against other teams' number 1 is going to be really exciting. Slugo, Knights, Bishops, Rooks, Rodgers is the queen in green. I see, like, I don't consider Rodgers the queen because of how lack of mobile he is, but he can make everything happen. But so can the king. So the king can go every different direction. You're not moving very fast. I feel like Rodgers is the king. And then everyone else is a bunch of queens because we can move in so many different directions. And then you got some guys that maybe can only go forward. So offensive line, road graders. They could be, they could, I don't want to call them the pawns because they're the big fatties up front. They're like, is the rook the castle? Is that what that one is? I think that's right. J-Boy asking what time kickoff is. 12 p.m. 12 p.m. David Hall Jr., I'm watching everything, definitely eyeing the rookies. Yes, I will keep an eye on all our rookies for us. I'll try to put out those every throws. Every plays. I'll try to get them out over the course of, I'll record them, and then over the course of the next day or so, I'll try to drop as many as possible. I'll drop like the most popular one, which is probably going to be Tittman, if I had to guess, and then I'll, as I spit them out, make sure you have notifications turned on so that way you see them. William, let it begin. Let's have a go, baby. Slugo preseason, see what you got. Yeah, look, there's some excitement about preseason, mainly for our depth, right? Like, you got to know what to look for. Don't take everything with like, oh man, Clowney for the longest time. David Clowney, preseason king. Never did anything in the regular season. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But man, it is really exciting to see what the depth pieces that we have on this team could do. Christian A asking, will Tyrod start? I think he's starting. I haven't seen what the starting lineup is yet, though. So if someone sees the starting lineup, let me know, and I'll pull it up and we can talk about it. I would imagine it's going to be Tyrod for maybe like a series or 2, and then I would hope that like Tittman stays in a little bit longer with the backup quarterback. So I'm hoping. Jacob says, hoping Allen ends up being good as advertised. Agent Zero, let's go Jets. Dude, from being at training camp, he looks good. He looks really good. I liked him coming out of college, so I'm a little biased here, but man, he looks like a 1B type running back. Between him and Isaiah Davis, we have enough kind of firepower from a blocking perspective and from a rushing perspective behind Breece, where if we needed to kind of take the foot off of Breece's gas pedal later in games, or maybe save Breece for later in games when the defenses are worn down, I think you have some of that ability with these 2 running backs. So I'm very much looking forward to both these guys running. JD Jets says, I think we have the best roster since 2010. If Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback and the line stays healthy, we could have an amazing year. Yeah, I've been saying this since last year. If Rodgers is a top 15 quarterback, we're going to have a good season. And the offensive lines, I feel more confident in this offensive line than I have in any Jets offensive line in recent history. And that's even with the injury concerns to Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses right now and AVT. Like, I feel like there's still enough depth and enough where you could have a spot starter for a little bit. Fashanu has to come in for 3-4 games this season. I don't feel as panicked as having, Dwayne Brown go down and then you have whoever coming in behind him. So I feel better at our starting spot as well as our depth here, and I think we do have a really amazing roster. Sauce in here, say Jets, Jets. That's right. Where's my button? No, it's not doing it. Hold on. I got to turn the volume up on it. Do it one more time. There we go. Zana, who do you think's our number 2 safety? I would love to see Ashton Davis earn it. Tony Adams, Ashton Davis would be really cool. I'm excited to see what Clark has, though. We didn't get to see Clark in a Jet uniform yet. He got hurt like the very beginning of camp last year. So I am excited to see what he has. Honestly, we play so many 3 safety sets where Davis is going to be coming in covering a tight end or something like that. I think you're really looking at the top 3. Oliver's obviously in the mix as well, but I'm excited to see that safety room. I agree. Prestige says, I'm going to this game. For some reason, there's always been a different feeling about Braylon Allen and Izzy Abanikanda, considering they were both 5th-round picks. Braylon just seems like he has it. Yeah, look, I don't think Izzy's making this team. I am interested to see what he has and how he plays throughout today and throughout the rest of training camp, but I think it's going to be a struggle for him to get to running back 4. I would rather hold on to our 3 running backs and keep an extra position player from another team or from like another position, whether that be the defensive line or the offensive line, than carry Izzy as the 4th running back right now. And I hope that changes throughout preseason, and I just flip that script and I say, hey, Izzy's our running back 4. I want to feel good about that. His speed, really impressive, but it doesn't feel like he's going to have many reps on this team right now. Braylon Allen, very much from the eyeball test, seems like the better running back. Slugo, this is the best team on paper I've seen. I'm 66, watched Super Bowl 3 at 11 years old. This is like, I mean, purely from having Aaron Rodgers on the roster. If he's, 80% of what he was in Green Bay at any point, we're going to be in really good shape this year. Alexander says, Corley first. Okay, so you guys want to see Corley as the first player that I do. We could talk about that. That is the most voted on person right now on our live chat poll. William says, Rodgers is summed up with 3 letters times 2, MVP and Hall of Fame. Damn right, William. Prestige saying, excited to see depth, but if we lose, it doesn't matter because everyone knows we could bludgeon the Commanders in the regular season. Yeah. No, I am not concerned at all about win-loss in preseason whatsoever. I'm more so looking at individual player performance and how they play against their peers. Were they playing against a backup? Like for the Commanders, trying to watch what they're going to be doing against the Jets is going to be a little bit of a kick in the balls because I don't envision us to play all of our starters for as long as they're going to want to play all of their starters. So for us, we're going to get that better litmus test of skill level. Yet a good question to spin off that. Who's going to be our 4th safety? I've heard they moved Converse back to corner. Yeah, Bernard Converse is moved back to corner. Isaiah Oliver, the corner that we got from San Francisco, who also plays special teams, he's penciled in as our 4th safety right now. David Hall, when you're subscribed to every Jets content creator on YouTube, every bell is on. David, thank you. It's much appreciated. I appreciate you guys tuning in too. This is a little bit earlier stream than I generally do, but it's nice to be out here talking to you guys. We got about 17 more minutes. We'll do a quick little hour, then I'm going to go do some house stuff before we get ready for the game. So get your questions in here. If you guys do want to call in, you're more than welcome to call in. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to talk to the chat. Prestige. I thought Braylon Allen was going earlier in the 2nd or 3rd round to the Giants or the Cowboys, so I'm pumped. He's in Gotham Green. Yeah, I didn't think Allen was going to make it as far as he did. I thought we were going to have to select him a little bit earlier. I'm happy we got him where he was, especially with Jordan Travis. I wanted Jordan Travis. I wanted Braylon Allen. Those were 2 of the big names throughout the draft that I was kind of keying in on. Christian A, hopefully Olu gets some reps today. I'm sure we'll see plenty from him. Stiggers with multiple picks. That would be great. Rob coming in saying, Jets football today. Let's effing go. Prestige saying, people thinking Rodgers just forgot how to play football is hilarious, yet they are the same people claiming Kirk Cousins will be elite in Atlanta coming off the same injury. This is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, look, Rodgers is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. It's just that Kirk's a little bit younger, right? And what is it, a 4-year difference? 5-year difference, maybe? I think Kirk's like 34, 35, and Rodgers is obviously 40. So there is a little bit of age-related potential factor, but neither one of those guys is super mobile anyway. So you gotta believe in Rodgers. I don't know which leg it was for Cousins either. Rodgers having his non-plant leg Achilles pop feels like it's probably the better route if you had to pick one. Andreas says, I would love to see the Jets win the Super Bowl because the last time they won the Super Bowl was 10 months ago. 10 months ago, the Jets. Why did we win the Super Bowl? Is it because we always win the offseason? Is that what you're getting at? Oh, you were 10 months old. That's what you're saying. Ryan can't read. This is what happens when it's this early in the morning. Sauce says he's going to the game today. I hope so. You're supposed to be playing. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to see Sauce play today. Oh, Nightbot, thank you for helping out. Boys and girls, if you want to head over to BetUS, Nightbot just spit out a link in the chat. If you click on that link, you could either sign up for BetUS if you want to place some bets that we're going to be doing throughout the season. I have my 5 favorite bets over there, too. You could just take a look at it if you want. I think there's some opportunities to win some money. I threw a little bit on each one of those if you want to check them out. Aaron Rodgers, plus 160 for 30 touchdowns, is one of those, as well as 4 other ones. So head over that way if you'd like to check that out. David Hall, let's not forget about our undrafted diamonds in the rough and JD we trust. Yeah, you're talking about McGregor. You're talking about Watts and Taylor. Are these guys going to perform on a stacked defensive line? Who can set themselves apart? I want to see McKinley. Anthony D, why can't we just get the Hassan thing done already? Because it's a pressure thing. He's trying to get as much money as possible. We're just trying to get him into camp. I'm less concerned because we have Will McDonald. We have a little bit of depth. Like in a worst case scenario, I kind of was not envisioning getting Hassan Reddick, in the offseason anyway. Now that we have him, obviously I want to see him on the field, but I think either way, if he's coming back for regular season, I'm feeling a little bit, feeling all right. I'm not too concerned about the training camp preseason side of things. What's up, Ryan King? Hey, good talking to you. He says, well, thank you for the super chat. Are you going to live stream? I'm not going to live stream the game. I'm going to try and do every play for some of the games. I have to be somewhere at I think it's 3:30 is where we're going. So I don't know if I'm going to catch the tail end of the game. So I'm not going to do a post-game live. So what I'll try to do is I'll get some of the highlighted players out earlier because Tippmann might be done at halftime or something like that. I'll try to get all those videos that I can posted so you guys can take a look at that and watch that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Ryan, I know you are. You're a good dude. Strong name. But yeah, I'll be doing the live show on Monday. We'll do a little bit of a call-in. Maybe I'll do one tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. It depends. Once the kids go to sleep, I have a little bit more flexibility. Slugo says, Devontae Adams would be nice. Then Garrett can play where he was born to play, in the slot. Could you imagine if we had Garrett in the slot and Devontae and friggin' Mike Williams on the outside? I want it. Salik Khan, is Jordan Travis playing? I don't think we're going to see Jordan Travis at all in preseason. I think what they're going to do is they're going to IR him for the year, and he's just going to practice in training camp, and we're not going to see him live in a game. That's my gut feeling on him. But I've not seen him take any meaningful snaps in training camp yet, so I don't think we're going to actually see him today. Mr. Recht says, is it too late for Reddick to show up and not be fined? I mean, he could show up whenever and he'll stop getting fined, but he's already losing that money, and the Jets are not going to pay that back. They're gonna, anything that's like an objective fine that they can waive, they might do that. But there's some CBA fines that he's not allowed to have forgiven, and I don't see the Jets paying him above that threshold that he wants to make up for it. Now, if you build it in with incentives, like, hey, every sack you get over 10 sacks, you're going to get an extra $1 million or something along those lines. That'd be kind of nice. Prestige. Hopefully, Will McDonald has put pressure on Hassan Reddick to get over here faster. I can't believe Reddick is willing to lose an arm and a leg for money that he's literally losing by the day. Hassan Reddick is in a contract year. He's got to play this year. So, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think he's going to have to show up. But if Will McDonald starts balling out, it's going to put the Jets in a situation where they're like, all right, well, we're good. We're fine with not Reddick. We're fine with Will McDonald doing what he's doing. You got JJ, you got all those guys, and then hopefully you get Reddick in here. But if you get to a point in the offseason where you now have Reddick missing so much time that it's going to start impacting, is this guy going to get a pulled hamstring or something like that? Then I'm not guaranteeing his full $15 million for this year. I feel like you got to, as Joe Douglas, if I were him, I'd say, hey, look, you got to get to camp by halfway through August. Let's call it right after the Panthers game or something like that. If you're not in camp by then, the guaranteed money portion is off the table. You're gonna have incentive base. That's totally fine, but we have to put a hard line on this because we need to know you're gonna be healthy. And if you're putting yourself in that bad situation, I don't want to see it. We'll see. I hope he puts some pressure on Will McDonald. We've got Jake backstage. Jake, how you doing, dude?
I'm at work, man. Just grinding as usual.
Dude, what are you most excited for today's game?
No injuries.
No injuries, but are there any players that you want to focus in on from are you focusing in on Tippmann snapping? Is it like Stiggers? Is it some of the young offensive linemen? I would imagine we're not seeing Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses today, so it would be more of the B+ unit from the O-line.
Well, let me just. I've been busy all week, so the starters are not playing, correct?
I would think we're not going to see the main starters play. I would hope we get to see I want to see Tittman play. I want to see John Simpson and AVT play. I think it would be all right to let some of you don't need Garrett or Brees, obviously no Rodgers. I don't need to see Tyron or Morgan Moses, no Mike Williams, but some of the guys that still, not that they have to earn their spot, but might have some questionable like Tittman pressure game snaps. I feel like you got to have him play.
I'm going to disagree. I just
Really?
think there's these scrimmage during the I've been saying this before. I think the NFL has changed now where they've done these team scrimmages and they're getting enough time there to get practice against other teams. Maybe it's not as violent, but at least you're getting the kind of that live. Because listen, there's refs there. They're treating it like it's a game essentially half the time. It's just you don't have the drunk idiot fans like us screaming, saying you suck. I mean, that's kind of the only difference. Well, maybe they do. They have some of them go to practices, whatever. But I'm just saying that
at one Jets drive.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We're just not paying for Woody Johnson's inflated $15 beer he thinks has to help his pockets, of course. But anyway, my point is that I've said this now for years. What are you justifying in preseason? What are everyone said? Can we find one person that says I remember from preseason that was the difference right there for that player? I have never seen that in NFL history, and I'm at a point now saying, why are we going to risk a single injury to any player, especially our offensive line, which is prone to any kind of injury at any time, any moment, because of how fragile they are and because how old they are? I just think in the end, it's why risk it? Just put that kid Martinez in the whole game because we're not going to have Jordan Travis all year. So he's going to have to be the so-called third quarterback or the pure emergency quarterback because Tyrod has injury concerns too. Let's not forget that Tyrod's got an injury concern too, man. He had a punctured lung. He's had knee problems. So, yeah, he's a formidable backup than Zach Wilson, the great, or whoever we've had in the past. So I just think that we need to justify just putting in kids that need to get snaps to please Woody Johnson, his money in his pockets, and just not risk a single injury. I understand people want to talk about, we need Will McDonald's and all them to show that why we need Hassan Reddick. I mean, this is getting worse by the day. It's looking really bad for Joe Douglas. I'm really sorry to say this. This is a really, really bad look. And as much as we can say he went against the contract and whatever the case may be, look, he knew he should have talked to Howie Roseman and said, dude, how bad is this right now? Howie's probably smart and said, look, Joe, I love you, but I'm not doing any favors. We brought in Bryce Huff. We kind of nabbed someone for you. You have to deal with the mess yourself. You're a smart enough guy. And he didn't. And as much as they want to keep him here, this is a problem. He's going to sign the last day because in his contract, he wants to get any of the guaranteed money. He's going to have to take it. He's going to get a hamstring pull. He's going to be out 4 or 5 weeks. He'll be back by the Buffalo game, whatever game they need to force to get him in there, play snaps. I'm doing the fast version, but that's kind of my take about where it's going to go with Reddick. So don't count on him showing up anytime soon. We can't.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick's situation is kind of interesting because I'm not super concerned about it right now, but that last point that you made, the hamstring pull that could linger throughout the season, that's where I'm a little bit more concerned because he's not playing in game shape right now. As far as the standpoint of Joe Douglas should have known what was going on, I completely agree. He needs to have known what was going on. I mean, as fans, we sat back and watched. This guy's from Philadelphia. He wants to be an Eagle, but he doesn't want to play on his current contract. Why would he want to come to the New York Jets and play on his current contract? So we rolled the dice a little bit. I guess my question is because it was a 2026 third round pick is what we wound up giving up.
Yeah.
I feel like the draft pick compensation, it's going to hurt when we don't have that pick at some point, especially if Reddick were to not play the entire season or be a very minimal factor. But was there an edge rusher that maybe we were prevented from signing, or the cap space that Reddick's money kind of took up initially from making that trade? Do you think we missed out on any players at that point right now? Because him not having a guaranteed contract at least allows the Jets, if he's holding out, to recoup some of that money. So I don't know how much, would we have gotten a different edge rusher in place of Hassan Reddick? I don't know if we would have.
Well, let's back up for a second. So the first part you're asking about the draft compensation. If this gets ugly enough where they're going to have to get rid of Reddick, it's going to be on the table. It has to be on the table at some point, possibly, or unless a good offer does come up from someone. We're going to get that third round pick back because based on compensatory pick matters in 2 years, we're going to get a third. It's just going to be a lower third round pick. So if you want to say any silver lining in Joe Douglas's mind about the worst case scenarios, we're going to get that pick back. So we're really not losing the pick per se. It will just get lower because then it'll just be like in the, I don't know where we're going to be. Maybe like in the 90s, it'll be like 120s or something based on compensatory pick matters. The second thing is
if
that
he plays this season and leaves.
Correct. So
if he holds out and we just lose it. We just lose the third round pick.
But the point is also is that this is the second point is that we have to admit to ourselves we effed up on Bryce Huff. Like I mean, I've been saying they should have signed him 2 years ago. I mean,
I agree.
We really should have just signed him 2 years ago. But everybody is saying, oh, we should trust Saleh and the training, the defensive staff. They know what they're seeing. It's like, look. You got a guy you could have gotten on a bargain deal. You could have paid him like Corey Davis money a year for like $10, $11 million a year 2 years ago. He would have been fine with that. Even if he was still playing maybe not at the Hassan Reddick level, but he was playing at least a notch or a notch and a half below, you would have said that would have been a great situation regarding about how they brought in Will McDonald and all the other and Jermaine Johnson's production. So you would have had enough guys. At the end of the day, we made a decision that, look, everyone will say, great, yeah, we're bringing in a Pro Bowl guy. So we can't get angry completely, but we had to know there was risk with this. And when you're saying about a Philadelphia guy, I thought you were talking about Joe Douglas because he is a Philadelphia guy. He worked alongside Howie Roseman. Much we can say his Baltimore days with him and Joe Ortiz and all of them working underside Ozzie, he was a Philadelphia guy. He was there part of the Nick Foles run. So he should have known from Howie, unless, like I said before, Howie was just going to screw with him and say, look, dude, it's a business and we're going to make the right decision for our organization. You should have known from our years working together, this was going to be a risk. And you had to know you should have been on top of this before. Or he's telling him with Bryce Huff, you should have signed him 2 years ago, man. Like, we're kind of getting on this now because we kind of know what his talent is. And we knew that Hassan was fading and we knew he had a contract problem. So we can dive into whole different matters about it. But at the end of the day, Joe Douglas has to take a bulk of responsibility for this situation, regardless of Hassan being an asshole. But he's trying to get his money. But at the end, I know it's wise to say he shouldn't get 25, 26. I'm not doing that. I'm not giving him the Brian Burns deal. That is a hard no for me. That's a hard no for any situation. But the fact we're here today is his agent is telling Hassan, go sit down, go train, go do whatever you got to do on your own. We're going to tell Joe Douglas and the Jets, you can tell us anything you want. He's paid up to a TJ Watt level. He's playing up to a level of high caliber even at his age. We're going to sit here and pound the table because we know what he's done at age 30. I'm sorry to tell it to Jet fans. That is going to be his argument. And that's not ending anytime soon. I think that's where we're at right now with the situation, truthfully.
See, for me with Joe Douglas and as far as Reddick for this contract, because I completely agree with you. We should have signed Huff. I think Huff's was written on the wall as soon as we gave him the second round tender. When we gave him the second round tender, that was the end of Bryce Huff, and then the nail in the coffin was Will McDonald. Wasn't going to get done last year. I think he should have been traded prior to the trade deadline. That would have been my move. But either way, Hassan Reddick for this year, I think he is going to force himself to play because he's in a contract year. He's going to have to play. It's just going to be a matter of how effective is he going to be once he actually winds up getting here. Now, I don't know. As far as the contract goes, I'd be fine with saying, hey, look, you want to get incentives, you want to get paid up to like a TJ Watt level, come in, let's play. You'll get paid based on your incentive, structure. Like, we don't have to pay you anymore because you're under contract for $15 million. It's if you sit out, and we get the $15 million back. But if you don't, and you come into camp and you now get this incentive-laden deal, now you have the opportunity to prove how much you're worth in a year that you want to parlay that into a big contract anyway. So I feel like that's the marriage that you're going to have to wind up having. It's probably us guaranteeing him the full season, like for this year, plus the incentives. And I think it's just a stalemate until they can get to it. I don't know.
It's going to go to the end.
Do you think he misses like any actual regular season game?
Maybe. I think in the end of the day, he wants. I think it's by the end of camp he's got to like so-called show up to collect his money or whatever the case. I don't know the exact true details of the contract. I'll be very frank with you. It's just I think there's got to be some clause in there that states if he shows up by the last day of camp or whatever the case may be. Maybe you know better. I don't know. I just think that there's some kind of clause that's going to tell him he's got to be there by the last day of camp, or like he's going to lose the guaranteed money, or that he's going to have to lose, or he's going to lose the ability of incentives, or Joe Douglas is going to have to I don't know, settle at the very last day of camp and say, okay, we'll give you the incentive part. We're just not going to guarantee it unless we see it on the field. And they may have to tell him and tell his agent and say, look, we have to risk in case he's been out of camp and he's had missed OTAs and he has no idea about the trade. We're going to tell him, like, the incentives are not going to kick in until, let's say, the trade deadline or after the trade deadline, because we might trade him possibly, or we may say, hey, listen, we might give you what you want and send you to a team by midseason. You may not like it, but at the end of the day, we got to protect ourselves knowing that there's a possibility we can get you off the books and maybe even get, I don't know, a third-round pick in return and not even deal about the compensatory pick situation. So there's all kind of scenarios, but the fact is that right now he has to collect. He's going to try to collect something, or hopefully maybe they'll have some incentive-based deal. I don't know, I'm losing track right now, but I just think right now we have to go into the season shockingly and sadly with the idea that, yeah, he's probably not going to be productive by week 1, or he will show up at week 1 and then he'll try to tackle Elijah Mitchell because CMC may not play. I mean, we want to talk about some week 1 predictions right now, a calf problem, like, hello, Aaron Rodgers. Like, I mean, this is not an injury that a running back wants to have. He might have his problem. He might be on a snap. My point, he'll tackle him, he'll get hurt, and then probably have a hamstring pull, which is going to happen because remember Darrelle Revis, and after his long situation, he had a hamstring pull. I remember that week 1, he had a hamstring pull. So it's bound to happen based on the way these guys sprint and run. So yeah, it's sad. It's just really unfortunate, but Joe Douglas, like, you took the gamble. You made a somewhat smart gamble because you got a caliber player like him for next to nothing in some to people's minds. But at the end of the day, it's not good. It's just not good. It's kind of embarrassing, and as much as the players probably agree with him and say, look, like, dude, get your money, which I think people are more understanding about players getting their money. I always feel for that for players. I do. It's a not forever league, like it is. But the end of the day, it's like management should have gone into this in a better situation. And this is not just on Joe Douglas. This is on, Jaime Elheim. This is on a lot of these guys, right? Rex Hogan's not here anymore. Like, you don't think of a little bit of him sitting there saying, like, Joe, like, we need to, like, do something about this. He's not there. He's in, was he in Indianapolis right now? And then I knew the other guy that was working with him is in L.A. with Joe Ortiz, Baltimore days, right? So I forgot what his name was. But, these guys are not there anymore. He's kind of on his own right now. He's kind of being the head honcho now. So these are kind of little decisions as a go all in year. But, it didn't work out. It's not working out well right now. And just
we'll be fine. Jake, I don't want any of the Debbie Downer stuff. You better check that.
Don't get hurt. Don't get hurt today.
Jake just doesn't want to see any injuries. I completely agree. I don't want to see any injuries either. Boys and girls, if you've not done so already, I did share the line over here. Plus 160. Rodgers getting 30 touchdowns on the season. If you guys want to head over there, link in the description down below. I also have my 5 favorite bets for the season. These are the future bets. So these are season-long award type things. So if you want to check those out, those are going to be current odds. I don't know, obviously they update them as people place bets on stuff, but take a look at it. If you want to hang out, support the channel, use BetUS. They'll match your first 3 deposits, 125% up to $2,000. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure you head down into the description down below. I see Gator in here. What's up, Gator? Jake Klein ranting because my dog caused my dog to try and drown himself in a toilet. Jake is a very, I don't think he's wrong on a lot of stuff. I think he just has a very pessimistic way of looking at it. And that's okay. Based on how we've seen the Jets perform the last bunch of years, I understand the pessimism. I just have a very more like green lensed shade of glasses over what I'm watching. That's okay. Andrew saying, with Reddick, I don't think it's about the money. I don't think he wants to be here. Well, I think he's definitely pissed he got moved from Philadelphia for the same contract. And I would like to see them guarantee his contract and then give him some incentives, give him some opportunity to earn more money based on his production value. That's really, that's where I feel like it's got to be. Maybe they're in some sort of negotiation where they're just trying to agree on the cap of where that could potentially live. But I don't know. I very much want to see Reddick in green and white this year. I don't want to see him traded. I want him to be happy here. You don't want to see disgruntled players. Dakota says, Reddick wants to be with the Jets for the next 3 to 5 years. That's what it is. That's a long time to pay him. I don't want to pay him that long when we have young guys coming up the pike. Sneakers to boots. Jake is incapable of being happy or positive even if the Jets win. He's look, we like Jake. He's just a little grumpy gills sometimes. Dan, I want to see Braylon Allen pop off, get a teaser of our dynamic duo running back. I completely agree. He's probably I'm most excited to see him play, him and Stiggers. But as far as like most critical right now, I think Tippmann is a very, very critical piece, and it kind of goes down, this way. Hello. Says, I'll be happy with 24 passing touchdowns, would be outstanding improvement from last year. It really would. I mean, think about the last time the Jets had a quarterback that got us like 25 passing yards, 25 passing touchdowns. It's been a while. I wonder if Allen sees a lot of work. I think Izzy and Davis are auditioning. I think Davis definitely makes the team. It's definitely going to, they just drafted him and Allen for a reason. They're going to be kind of the de facto fullback / Thunder and Lightning B team for behind Brees. Brees will get a crazy ton of touches, obviously, this season. But trying to keep him fresh by having these two behind him, I think, is really important. I don't think Izzy's going to make this team. I'm going to keep an eye on him today, but it doesn't look good from training camp so far. Andrew, he doesn't seem like he wants to work with us and earn 3 to 5 year deal. I mean, that's what it seems like, but I don't think the Jets have any plan on giving him a 3 or 5 year deal, even if he balls out. Like, if I were the Jets, I would just try to get him in here, get him to, play as hard as he can, and then basically say, like, hey, you're either going to continue playing hard and earn your contract for your next team, or you're going to have this stigma of giving up on the Eagles last year and giving up on the Jets this year, and no one's going to pay your ass money. I think that's where the Jets kind of are as far as the Reddick hot potato kind of game. What would happen if the Jets just refuse to sign Reddick and he doesn't show up? Yeah, look, that's my kind of stance. I don't want to sign Reddick to a long-term deal. I'm fine guaranteeing his existing contract and giving him incentives, but I think he has to play. I think the Jets have a little more leverage here than he does. Flying under the radar, AVT's Achilles rebound. I'm concerned about his power ball in the running game. Sneakers boots, I completely agree with you. I want to see AVT. I want to see the whole I want to see this starting offensive line minus Tyron and minus Moses. If you can give me Tippmann, John Simpson, and AVT for a quarter or 2 drives or whatever you want to call it, I would feel a lot more comfortable seeing this. And then you get to see Fashanu and Carter on either side, or Max Mitchell, or whoever's going to be starting at right tackle. But AVT and the power that he generates. Plus, he's been getting a lot of false starts. Maybe he's a little, I don't know, nervous or something. Maybe feels he's got to hop off a little quicker. I'm curious to see how he plays. Terrence, as long as Reddick is ready for the playoff push, I'm fine. That's sort of where I feel as well. But I don't want to guarantee his full contract for the year if he doesn't show up to the last day of training camp. At that point, I'm saying, like, listen, dude, we'll give you the incentives, but you're not getting guaranteed money because you've now made it more likely that you're going to pull a hamstring or get hurt. Nimrod says, this question is coming from a Pats fan. Do you like iCarly? Oh, I never watched it, so there's that. I know it's a show from Nickelodeon. Is that right? What channel is the game on in New Jersey? I'd imagine it's probably on CBS, but I don't know. I got to look. Who are the first 5 wide receivers we carry into week 1? Oh, that's easy. It's going to be Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, Alan Lazard, and then I guess that the extra one, I would say I would guarantee it being at least Irv Charles on the roster. I don't think he's necessarily the 5th one. I mean, I guess you could call it Gibson. You could call it maybe Brownlee. I feel like Brownlee's a little redundant with Mike Williams and with Lazard, though, so he's probably a little less likely to be on the team. I would say Xavier Gibson has the inside track on that. Yeti, I can't remember the last time I started drinking at 9 a.m. I'm in Arizona. I will be drunk by noon and worthless. This is way over an hour and 15 minutes from seeing them in the new unis live. Let's go, Jets. Wait is over. Dude, I can't wait. Just be safe over there. John says the Commanders will be without their top 3 offensive and defensive tackles today against the Jets. It's all right. I'm more interested in seeing as many of our backups go against as many of their starters as possible. Offensive line-wise, I kind of know what our defensive line has in store. Maybe it's less meaningful for our interior offensive line if their defensive tackles aren't playing. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on. I will do the every run for the running backs. I'll do every snap for Joe Tippmann, so that way you guys can see all that good stuff. Sneakers Boots says, hoping Brownlee shows up today. I really like Brownlee. I just think he's probably less likely to be on the opening day roster because of the style that he plays with, how it's so kind of similar to like Mike Williams and Lazard there. Hello, who am I most looking forward to? Look, right underneath. That's who I'm looking forward to. Titman snaps, the running backs, Will McDonald, Malachi Corley, Quantas Stiggers. Those are the guys I'm keeping an eye on today. Mike D's Nuts, going to try and fire stick the game in Albany. Go Jets. Yeah, they usually used to be able to go on Reddit and find links. I don't know how they find that anymore. I've got YouTube TV, so I know I'll have it locally here. But you might be getting like, I don't even know what other preseason games are on today. Jacob, quick movie question. What is your favorite movie? Mine will always be Gridiron Gang, The Love Story, and The Longest Yard for comedy, but many great football films. Favorite football movie itself? I feel like The Replacements is a fun one. Longest Yard's always a good one. Remember the Titans is a classic. I don't know. I'm not like a big like sports movie guy. Like there's ones that I like for sure. Like me a good Happy Gilmore movie. I don't know. Probably I feel like The Replacements is a fun movie. Same with The Longest Yard, but I feel like Remember the Titans is probably like maybe my favorite of like the more serious ones. R&R, any chance any receiver or anyone else gets traded? I think it's possible. I mean, we're going to see Ayuk traded, and that's going to impact the AFC in general because I think he's going to be coming to this side of the conferences. As far as for the Jets, I don't think we're going to trade for a wide receiver unless it's Devontae Adams. I would be a little surprised. Michael, any news on guys like Watts or McGregor? I'm a huge fan of these additions, but haven't heard much about them out of camp. Well, that's part of who I want to see today and how these guys perform and can they make the 53-man roster at the end of camp. I feel like those are the guys that are kind of on the bubble that are interesting from a defensive line perspective. But I'll admit I'm definitely looking more towards the offensive line. ESPN says it's on NFL Plus. So that's probably if you're out of state. NFL Plus would be how you'd get that. Sneakers Boot says, honestly, I had forgot we had Mike Williams until he came off the PUP list. Yeah, we haven't seen him play yet. So actually having him come off the PUP list and be active for practice feels kind of nice. It's going to be a lot of fun once we actually get him on the field. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to round this out right here, get ready for the game. If you have not done so already, want to check out BetUS, link in the description down below. They're going to match your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with a 125% match. Pretty solid. I have my 5 favorite bets listed down there. The one that I've been sharing on today's stream is obviously the Aaron Rodgers plus 30 touchdowns for this year. It's plus 160. Throw $100 on it. You can win 160 back, so you win $60 more than you risk if you want to get in on this one. But if you want to check out the other bets that I have down below in the description, I have some season-long ones. Throughout the course of the season, we'll wind up using BetUS to look at weekly matchups, weekly prop bets that we could do, try to win a little bit of money together. So if you want to support the channel and support what I do here, support the sponsors of the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you, BetUS. All right, boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun. I will talk to you guys following the game at some point. I might do a late night stream tonight for it because I got a little bit of prior commitment after the game. But before then, I'll try to get you some of the every throw, every run type videos as well. Boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.